Hello everyone, VegasVic1965. I'm here with Noah, my son. Say hi, Noah.
Hi.
This week's video is a second in a three-part series on enchants, and we're going to be talking about weapons enchants. I'm currently at the Addstar hub, and Addstar is an awesome family-friendly server. If you're looking for a safe place for your kids to play on, this is definitely it. Great owners, great admin staff, great mod staff, and overall very helpful and wonderful place to play. Great community. So, Noah, what do you think?
It's great. The weapon one idea is a great idea.
Good. What do we always do? What do we always say?
Let's find out.
That's right, buddy. Let's find out. Welcome back, guys. VegasVic1965. I'm here with Noah. And one of the first things I wanted to get out there was I get this asked kind of frequently, and that has to do with subscribing to someone's channel. And the answer, before anybody thinks about it, subscribing to somebody's channel costs you absolutely nothing. But it does help them let people out there know that they appreciate the content that you provide. So, if you would like to subscribe to the videos that I'm doing and you find it helpful, please subscribe. Go right ahead. Anyway, let's take a look and see what we got here, because this week we are going to be doing weapons enchants. I wanted to stop over here and show you the weapons we're talking about. Now, I'm on 1.13, and so we don't have the crossbow set up because it's set up for 1.14, but I'm going to go over those enchants as well. Now, what we're looking at is the sword, the axe, the bow, the trident, and also the crossbow. Now, you can do these enchants, as I mentioned last week, at an enchanting table. And something that a player here on Addstar, C. Netty, had mentioned to me, that if you decided to enchant something, and for example, you didn't like what you saw, or you figured, oh well, that's not going to work out, what you can do is use, in 1.14, a grindstone to get that experience back and try again. So let's take a look and see what this is going to give us. Unbreaking 3. Now, on an enchanting table, as I mentioned last week, when you put an item in there to enchant, you will see what it's going to offer you, but of course you do have to have the levels. If you have 30 levels or more, you can get that third slot. Of course, you need lapis lazuli and either the weapon, or like last week, it would have been the armor. So, but if you have like 29 levels, you can get the second one. If you only have up to 7, you can only get the first one. I suggest waiting to get the last one. So let's enchant this sword first. Let's enchant the sword and see what we get. Sharpness 4 and Unbreaking 3. That's actually not too bad. Sharpness 5 would be better. But if for some reason you didn't like that, I made this giant thing over here, and it is, what is that, Noah?
A grindstone.
A grindstone. And if you didn't know already, the grindstone, now I can't get into the GUI, but on 1.14 you can place your weapon, your armor piece, or your tool, if you didn't like what you got from the enchanting table, into the grindstone and get, I'm not sure if you get all of that experience back. I'll still have to do some testing, but you will get the experience back and you get the weapon back just like you had never enchanted it before. So you can go back there and keep trying if you want. But, as I always say, my favorite is going to be the anvil. Enchanting with an anvil in books, you'll always be sure to get exactly what you want. Now, let's go over the weapons, and we'll talk about the enchants that you can put on a sword first, the first weapon. Right, buddy? So for our sword enchants, you can put sharpness on it, you can put smite on it, you can put bane of arthropods. Now, you cannot put all three, unless you're playing some sort of modded, but you can pick one of these. Now, overall, sharpness would be your best. Smite's going to be great for like your skeletons, the wither skeleton. It's going any of your undead mobs, your zombies. Bane of arthropods, if you don't know already, which most of you probably do, is going to be good for spiders. Along with the other enchants you can put on this, you can put looting 1, 2, or 3. You can put Sweeping Edge 1, 2, or 3, and unfortunately for the Bedrock guys, you cannot put Sweeping Edge. You don't have it yet. But word has it, Sweeping Edge is on the way for Bedrock. It's a great tool because you're going to hit and you're going to spread out that damage, the same amount of damage to all the mobs in your sweep area in front of you. So right now on Bedrock, if you swing your sword, you're going to be hitting only one, and I know that's kind of frustrating because here on Java, we use Sweeping Edge and we can hit them all and do an equal amount of damage to all of them. So the other enchants you can put on it would be Fire Aspect 1 and 2, and also Knockback 1 and 2. And as I mentioned out here, Bedrock doesn't have Sweeping Edge. Then finally, Unbreaking 1, 2, and 3, and Mending. Now for the Godly Sword that I use, me and Noah use, we put Sharpness 5, Looting 3, Sweeping Edge 3, Unbreaking 3, and then finally Mending. Now there is a way that you can put all of those enchants on there. Now I've tried to do this, but by getting that the last one, right? Because you're going to put these in order, obviously from highest to lowest, and that way you'll be able to get the most out of your enchants and not cost you as many levels. But the final book is going to cost you 66 levels, which is impossible in regular survival. So there is a way, and that way is to have an a weaponsmith, one of your villagers that actually has an Unbreaking 3 sword already, which is common, or Sweeping Edge 3. Those are two common ones that they'll have. So if you happen to have that with one of your weaponsmiths, you'll be able to put all those on there. But do you really want Fire Aspect on your sword? And do you really want Knockback on your sword? Well, I guess it really depends on what you're facing. For example, Fire Aspect. A bad example of having it on your sword would be if you have a pillager farm and you need that to kill that pillager carrying the flag or the banner, and to get the bad omen effect to bring back to your raid farm. Well, if he dies by fire, the looting that you were going to get that's already on the sword is not going to apply, and neither will you get bad omen. So Fire Aspect, I'm not so sure I really like that. Not to mention you hit a zombie and he bumps back into you, you catch on fire. So for some of you folks that like it, go right ahead. I personally don't really like it. Me and Noah don't really care for it. Knockback is another one. It's great if you're facing a horde of zombies, but it's horrible if you're facing skeletons or pillagers. And pillagers is our latest addition in 1.14, and you don't want to be knocking them back because they're going to keep shooting you. So anyway, again, those are the weapons you want to enchant highest to lowest first on your sword, and I use Sharpness 5, Looting 3, Sweeping Edge 3, Unbreaking 3, and finally Mending. If you're Bedrock guys, until you get Sweeping Edge, you can just skip that one. Okay, so let's move on to the axe. The axe, most of us use the axe. It does more damage than a sword, but most of us use it just for breaking pumpkins if you have Silk Touch, right, Noah?
Yep. And
chopping down wood. Mm-hmm. We really don't use it for much anything else. Do you use the axe for anything else?
Well, you can mine diamonds for to keep in your inventory not much more full. If you have fortune on
axe,
your
though. Yeah. That's not a pickaxe, but just an axe. You can't mine diamonds with an axe. You know that. Yeah. I think, yeah, you were thinking of a pickaxe. But the axe, you could put fortune on it and break leaves, for instance, and you'll have a better chance of getting apples or saplings. And you can put Silk Touch on it, so when you're breaking the melons, you won't get melon slices, you'll get the full melon. But we're just looking at the enchants that are available for the axe. You have Sharpness, Smite, and Bathe Arthropods, just like the sword does. Then you have Efficiency 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The Fortune and Silk Touch, which I mentioned. Finally, Unbreaking 1, 2, and 3, and Mending. The ones that me and Noah use, we pretty much put Efficiency 5. You can put Sharpness or Smite or Bane. We usually don't. And then you want to put Unbreaking 3. Then you want to pick Silk Touch, especially if you're out there getting your melons. Or Fortune 3 if you just want to use it for the leaves. But most of us are doing Silk Touch. And finally, Mending, so you can repair that. And I do have a Mending guide out there. It's one of my, I think I made that about a month and a half ago. If you search my channel, you'll see it under videos, under the help of videos. So that takes care of the axe. Let's move on over to the bow. The bows and enchants that are available to it, you have Power, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You also have Punch 1 and 2. You have Flame, Unbreaking 1, 2, and 3. And then finally, you have Infinity or Mending. These are exclusive. They cannot be put together. In case you were wondering, you can either put Infinity on it or put Mending, but you cannot put both. So for me and Noah, we enchant ours highest to lowest again. We chose Power 5, Unbreaking 3, then Punch 2, then Flame, and then finally Mending. But you don't have to have flame or punch on it if you don't want. But basically, to do a lot of damage, you want to try and get power 5 if you can. Pretty simple. Moving over to the tridents. Some people that have come back to the game notice that tridents were introduced to the game in 1.13, and you're like, whoa, I got to find out about those. Well, we have two types of tridents. There's the Loyalty Trident, and we have the Riptide Trident. Now, all the enchants that are available to it, for example, you have Impaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That can be put on either one of those tridents. Same with your Unbreaking 1, 2, and 3, and Mending. But when it comes to Loyalty versus Riptide, Loyalty cannot be put on a Riptide Trident, and vice versa. You can only have one or the other. Now, for the most part, for your Loyalty Trident, you're going to put Impaling 5 first. Then you want to put Loyalty 3 if you can get it. Hopefully you can. And the Loyalty enchantment itself basically means that when you throw the trident, it will come back to you. And the speed with which it comes back to you depends on the level, 1, 2, or 3. Of course, 3 being the highest. Then you have Unbreaking 1, 2, and 3, and Mending. Well, I almost forgot. You got to put Channeling in there. Now, you want to make sure that, like I said earlier, highest to lowest on your enchants. So in this case, we would put Impaling 5, then Loyalty 3, we'd jump down and put in Unbreaking 3, then we'd put Channeling, and then we'd put Mending. Now the Riptide Trident is rather unusual. It's very exciting, but requires most of its enchants to be for it to be available to you has to be happening during a rainstorm, or you need to be in water. But the Riptide enchantment, again, you can put Impaling 5 on it. You'd want to put that on there first, and then there's Riptide 1, 2, and 3, and obviously you want 3. You'd put that on next, and then you put Unbreaking 3 on it because it's available, of course, in 1, 2, and 3, and then finally Mending. Riptide will propel you when you're underwater, and if it's raining where you're at, you can also fly with it by throwing it, and it hurls you into the air. But be careful. This may be something great to use with either a slow fall potion or even your elytra. So, moving on, let's take a look at our last one, which happens to be the crossbow. Yeah, I spent a little time trying to figure out how to make this right all day. As a matter of fact, yesterday I should have just cheated. But there are two types of crossbows that are available to you in the 1.14 update. There's the piercing crossbow and the multi-shot crossbow. They are exclusive. You cannot put both of them on there. So with this, you're looking at a quick charge. Now the quick charge enchantment, basically when you're charging your crossbow, pulling it, so-called pulling it back to charge it, with 1, 2, or 3, the higher the level, the faster it recharges, so you can again shoot. Now there's a multi-shot on here that shoots up to 3 arrows out and targets in front of you, so it'll hit 3. And there's piercing. Now multi-shot is just a single enchantment. There's not any levels to it. But piercing, on the other hand, has 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can also put Unbreaking on it, and you can put Mending. Now getting back to the piercing crossbow. When we say piercing, that means it actually goes through the target in front of you and will hit multiple targets behind it depending on the level. So test that out to see how many you can hit. You should be able to go through and hit 4 if they're all standing in a row for you. If not, ask them kindly, please stand in a row for me so I can do this. Yeah, like that'll work. I'm sure pillagers will love to do that. But anyway, you cannot, again, put piercing and quick charge on there. I'm sorry, multi-shot. If I said that earlier, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. It's multi-shot and piercing that cannot be together. So, with piercing, believe it or not, one more thing to mention is piercing can actually go through a shield. Piercing, I have down here as a note for myself, piercing can even go through shields. And they say that it is actually faster than a bow once you get piercing 4 on it. Okay, so that pretty much covers all of those enchants. And again, what I would strongly suggest is that if you have a set of villagers in a trading hall setup, the anvil is the better way to go for these. But you can enchant these in an enchanting table if you like. Noah, where'd you go? Oh, you got a visitor here, huh?
Yep, it's you.
And it's me. I thought actually somebody came. Well, buddy, I think we pretty much covered everything. Oh, except the one thing in the distance. And I mentioned that last week as well. And that is one other enchantment under called the Curse of Vanishing. Now, you cannot get the curse of binding on weapons or tools. It only happens on your armor, but the curse of vanishing can apply if you happen to find it in a dungeon chest, or if somebody gives it to you. The curse of vanishing basically means that if you die, that weapon or tool that you had will disappear when you go back. If you're able to go back and find your body to get any of your belongings, that item that had that enchantment on it will disappear. So that's not exactly an enchant that I would put on a weapon. Oh, it looks just like me too, buddy. Anyway, Noah, did I miss anything here?
Nope.
You're positive?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go take a look at my notes over here. I think we pretty much did cover everything. The armor smith, I did mention that earlier. When it comes to these tools, your armor smith, now the armor smith obviously is not going to be selling you the trident. And the armor smith, the weaponsmith is not going to sell you the trident, nor will he sell you the bow or the crossbow. Who sells the bow and the crossbow, Noah?
Rogers. Fletcher.
That's right. The Fletcher. So if you're looking to get an enchanted crossbow or enchanted bow, you can get that from a Fletcher. The weaponsmith can get you the sword or the axe. And if you're really, really lucky, we're hoping to get an Unbreaking 3. So we could put multiple enchants on there with less penalties. What's up?
I need to tell you something.
Go ahead.
The reason the crossbow is not there is because the 1.14 update is not out in creative yet, so it can't be there. It turns into stone.
Right. One other thing I want to mention over here is I mentioned that you can put mending on this crossbow. And I know my notes here says about infinity. Unfortunately, there is no infinity on a crossbow. So unless they change that currently in 1.14.4, you cannot put infinity on a crossbow. That would be awesome though, wouldn't it? Imagine multi-shot, shooting 3 arrows indefinitely. But the multi-shot itself, if you may be asking this question as well. I should have mentioned it earlier, that you're shooting 3 arrows. But if you happen to miss your target and you go to pick it up, you're not going to get 3 arrows because you really only fired 1. It's that middle arrow that you fired that you will be able to pick up. So I believe we covered everything, Noah, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody has any questions at all about the enchants that I've gone over, or maybe I missed something, please let me know. Again, thank you very much, C. Nettie, for mentioning the grindstone for an enchant that you may have used on the crafting table and didn't want on the weapon or the piece. But other than that, I think me and Noah pretty much got everything covered. I brought him along to make sure I did. He's my supervisor to make sure everything goes well. So if you like this video, please click the subscribe. Click the like button. If you would like to subscribe for future videos, please click the subscribe button. It costs absolutely nothing. Now, I put out videos every Wednesday, usually in the evening, and have it edited and out by early Thursday morning. So, until next week, which will be on tools, we shall see you guys. What do you say, Noah?
Bye.
We'll see you guys. Bye.